Party Llama is the party. Party Llama brings the party. Party Llama dramatically enhances the party. Please do not use Party Llama if you are allergic to the following: having a good time, increased heart rate, not being a total lame-wad, enjoying your life to the fullest, parasailing from the back of a yacht. Please consult a doctor if you do not develop a cool attitude. Use as directed.
Good morning, HSM. How to do Party Llama again, right? I hope you're hearing me loud and clear. I think you are. I have a new setup and new microphone, new camera. You may notice I'm lit better. I don't know if the camera quality is coming through or not on the live stream, but yeah, our tech guy hooked me up and I've got some new stuff. And so hopefully you are hearing me well, and I hope you had a great week this week. And yeah, it's Sunday already. This week, for some reason, has flown by. As I continue to see myself on camera, I realize I need a haircut. But that's okay. I'm actually just so glad that you are here with us today. And if you don't know, my name's Ryan, and this is HSM at Central Peninsula Church. And I'm so glad that you've joined us today. Whether you're watching it live with us now, or you're watching it later, because let's be honest, the weather outside is amazing the last couple of days. And so I'm so glad that you've joined us, and we've got a great service today. We're going to continue our series on vibes, or talking about emotions, and today we're going to talk about anger. And gosh, I feel like the three things that we're going to teach about in this series are all things that I have struggled with at some point in my life. Anger is something I struggled with for a long time because I was teased a lot as a child, so I would get mad and get angry, and little things would bother me and I get super angry about it. And then yeah, well, that's this week. I don't want to spoil what's coming up next week, but we've got some great messages coming for you in the next few weeks. Also, just kind of a little announcement, but we do have life groups this Thursday. We have life groups every Thursday, 7 p.m. Link to sign up is down in the description. I think I'm also going to, I don't have it right now, but if you're watching this later, then it'd be no problem. I'm going to try to add just the link to just go join the Zoom call on Thursdays in the description. So if you want to join us on Thursdays, that would be awesome. This actually is going to be my last Thursday for a few weeks, with Dot and I expecting our next child very soon. I'm going to take a couple weeks off after he's born to just kind of be with family. And so this Thursday will be my last life groups for a few weeks, and then I'll be back. I'm not leaving forever, just for a few weeks. And then also, so I'm here this Sunday. I'm here hosting next Sunday, but you'll notice that the week after I'll be teaching because I pre-recorded it, but I won't be hosting. It'll be Rachel and Bryson hosting. That'll be when I'm on leave as well. I mean, who knows? Maybe by the time you see me with something I've already recorded, it's our baby's already come. So we're really looking forward to it. But I hope you can join us on Thursdays. Even the Thursdays that I'm gone, our leaders are going to lead it, and they're going to do an awesome job. And they're going to continue teaching what we're talking about on Sundays. Whether that's this message that we're talking about with vibes and emotions, or our next series, which is going to be all about loving like Jesus. So I hope that you can join us on Thursdays. I hope that you can do. I mean, it's just such a good way to connect with each other, and it's not a huge group, which makes it even better. And I know right now, I was talking to those that came on Thursday. I've heard it's crazy right now for your schools. I've heard you are busy with so much stuff right now, and I just encourage you to take that hour and a half. That's all we go, just an hour and a half. Maybe if you have to come late, hour and 15 minutes, but just take that hour and 15 minutes to connect with your other high schoolers. And I know that you're on Zoom and online all the time, so I totally get it, but I would love for you to join us. So Thursdays, 7 o'clock on Zoom. Come join us for some fun, and then a deep dive into what we're talking about in the series, and just connecting with each other. And that is emotions. Now, like I said, we're talking about anger today, and I wanted to play you something. Now, this is going to be from the message, but I think it's a good example of how God likes to teach lessons. Now, I was at the church recording, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but we're doing some work at the church. So, like, there was some dry rot on the outside of the student room and along the whole wall of the church, because it just happens. The building's old. We also like replaced the carpets. We did a bunch of cool stuff in some of the auditorium and the NPR. Pardon me. But I was recording one day, and I was recording this message on anger, and I feel like it is very poignant. I wanted to play it before I do the message on anger, but just I wanted to play this for you. This is what was this is what happened while I was recording. Is that I'm not getting what I want. They're pounding on the ceiling. This is wonderful. Okay. Yeah, so it was just quick. Just a little quick thing, but I just realized I'm wearing the same jacket even though it's a different day. But yeah, so I was recording this message on anger, and I think the line was like something like, or like the part of the message was like, you don't always get what you want, or something like that, and they started pounding on the ceiling, and I'm like, God's teaching me something. He really is. And so it was a really good example to me of how even though I was in the middle of recording, they were just doing their job, right? Like they were just, trying to get their job done to fix our stuff. But it was just really funny how that was happening. But I wanted to play that for you as we get ready for our message today. I think there's some really good things that come from just little things like that you notice God teaching you lessons. And so today we're gonna sing some worship, and we're gonna have a message as we dive into our Vibes series. And I want to encourage you to take some notes. Maybe if even anger isn't something that is big in your life, maybe it's still something else, but really listen to this, and really I think we all can get angry at times, and so I think that's important to remember too. But let's check it out. We're gonna sing some worship. Our awesome worship team has put together something for us this week. It's a song that I had never heard before. Maybe I'm just stuck in my old worship songs, but this is Charlotte and Madison have put together this awesome thing for us. So we're gonna sing some worship and go right into the message, and I will see you after that.
Staring at a stop sign, watching people drive by, T-Mac on the radio. Got so much on your mind, nothing's really going right, looking for a ray of hope. Whatever it is you may be going through, I know he's not gonna let it get the best of you. You're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when He reminds you that you're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. Everybody's been down at the bottom, at the ground. Oh, you're not alone. Just take a breath, don't forget, hang on to His promises. He wants you to know you're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when He reminds you till the final round. You're not going under, 'cause God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when He reminds you that you're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. You're an overcomer. So don't quit, don't give in. You're an overcomer. Don't quit, don't give in. You're an overcomer. Don't quit, don't give in. You're an overcomer.
I'm sure you all have heard of road rage, right? And now, if you maybe you have your license already, maybe you've experienced a parent, or maybe you've done it personally, or yeah, you've been in a car with someone who's raged while driving, or maybe you've been in a car with someone and another car has raged towards you. Heck, yesterday while I was driving home, there was a bike. Now, I grew up in Davis, and biking there is really the mode of transportation. More people, I feel like, bike than drive a car at times. There's huge bike lanes. Bikes, for the most part, are really respectful of the cars on the road and actually listen to and pay attention to the rules of the road. Well, around here it's a little bit different. There's not as many bike lanes. There's a whole bike lane system. There's like a bike highway in Davis. But I was driving home yesterday, and there was a bike. He kind of was swerving into the road and in my way, and then he kind of moved back, and then he swerved towards me, and I was like, okay, well, I got to get around this guy. So, I'm not a slow driver, but I pass him, and he swerves and almost hits me again, and I quickly avoid him and get back into my lane because there's a car coming the other direction. And then he tells me that I'm number one, not once, but twice. And yes, I think you know which number one I was in that case. Yeah, he was bike raging at that point, but he was getting angry at me, even though he was swerving into my car, biking unsafely. Now, if you've never experienced road rage, maybe you've encountered hallway rage. I just made that up. But hallway rage would be that when someone bumped into you between classes. You remember that? Remember when you got to actually go to class? And then that person made you drop your phone, and in turn, you got a little bit, annoyed or really angry, at least in your own mind. Now, before we even had phones, this was real. Someone would bump you, you're just having a bad day, you're just frustrated, and anger gets the best of you. Hallway rage is real. Now, on the road or in the hallway, we all know that that kind of rage. Even if you don't yell at someone or act rudely in the lunch line, you probably know the feeling of that kind of rage inside of you. Most of us don't actually call it rage or even anger, but you get the idea. Maybe you've just said that you're frustrated. When your sister shrinks your favorite shirt in the wash, you aren't mad, you're frustrated. When your stepdad reminds you how you could get grounded for the weekend, you aren't angry, you're frustrated. When that one kid you know acts like they're superior to basically everyone, you get frustrated enough to hope they faceplant in front of everyone. Why? Because we don't like to think of ourselves as angry. But let's be honest, is there a difference between being mad and being frustrated? Is there a difference between road rage and road frustration? Last week, when we started this series, and going forward, we're in the series about our emotions called vibes, or the vibe inside. Kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Anyways, vibe inside sounds like a song of some sort. Anyways, but we're also talking about keeping those vibes from controlling us. Last week we talked about that, how we don't want to be controlled by our emotions. And one of the emotions that shows up for everyone, and as much as we would say it doesn't, and it can take over, is anger. Now, the thing about anger is it doesn't always look the same. Sometimes it means yelling at someone or losing your temper. That's how we normally think of it. But sometimes it means giving someone the silent treatment. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes when someone is mad at you and they're not even saying a single word, it's almost worse, if not way worse. In fact, maybe you're really good at giving people the silent treatment. Not only is it a way for you to process your anger, but it's also a way for you to control the situation. You hold the power, because you withhold the words. It's like, when you ask someone, "Are you all right?" And then you get, "I'm fine." Ooh. Or you get "Is everything okay?" that you send in a text, and all you get back is a single letter, K. So, we all know that. But even more complicated, not all anger is bad. There's the anger we feel when we see injustices. When we see things like certain groups of people are treated unfairly, causes that we care about not being taken seriously, racism, people who don't have clean water, people who don't take care of the planet. When we see things happening in the world that aren't right, it's a good thing to get angry. Jesus got super angry when people were mistreated. The temple, like he flipped the tables in the temple. So it isn't always bad. In fact, sometimes anger can be very constructive. It moves us toward positive action. But then other times it's destructive. It moves us toward regret and hurts people. And what are we supposed to do with that? Well, either way, anger is a powerful emotion. The question is, what do we do with it? And how do we keep destructive anger from taking over and bossing us all around? Now, we're going to look at a passage from the book of James in the New Testament. Now, James, we did a whole thing on James this last year, when we got to actually meet together. But James was the brother of Jesus. But when Jesus was alive and walked the earth, James didn't follow him. It was only after Jesus was crucified and came back to life that James was even convinced that his brother was God, which makes sense. Let's all be honest. If your brother came up to you and said, "Yeah, I'm God," you wouldn't believe him either. But eventually James became a leader in the early church. He lived in Jerusalem and he wrote his letter primarily to Jewish Christians, and it's a letter full of wisdom. And in the section we're going to look at today, James offers a principle that may sound a little too simple at first. But hang in there, because if you and I can learn to do this, it'll change everything. So we're in James chapter 3, and we're going to start with verse 13. And James starts by saying this: "Who is wise and understanding among you?" We hear the word wise a lot, but we may not really focus on what it means. Wise is different from smart. You can be born smart, but wisdom is earned. If you're wise, you take what you've experienced and learn from it. You understand that life is connected and that actions have consequences. And James is asking, how many of you get that? If you do get it, here's what I have to say next. And he continues. "Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom." So James is making a connection here. He's saying that wise people are humble. And what does humility look like? It starts with a proper view of yourself. You don't see yourself as the exception to the rules. You don't think the world revolves around you and your desires. You don't think that you deserve better treatment than everyone else. And you don't see everyone else as a means to an end that you want. James is saying that wise people don't do these things. He continues in verse 14. "But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth." Harbor, which basically means to let something stick around. If you let stuff stay with you that makes you think you're better or more important, don't deny it, call it out. Don't pretend to be fine. And then James says this in verse 16. "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." All right, let's say this a little bit different. When pride or arrogance gets lodged inside of us, it comes out in our actions. Not exactly great news, right? But he doesn't leave us hanging. A couple verses later, he asks this in the first verse of chapter 4. "What causes fights and quarrels among you?" I bet I could stop right there and everyone would have an answer to that question. It could be parents with unrealistic rules, younger siblings that won't stop being annoying, friends that don't text back, a stepdad that acts like he's always right, people with obnoxious TikTok accounts. We all have an answer outside of us that causes problems among us. But James isn't buying it. He answers his own question by saying, don't they come from your desires that battle within you? In other words, your mom may drive you crazy and your little brother may be annoying, but what causes the arguments? It's possible that it's not them, it's us. Or more specifically, what's in us. And that's a big deal, because as long as we think the problem is someone else, their behavior, their character, their mistakes, we'll never deal with the anger problem inside of us. We think the problem is people not doing things our way. But James is saying the problem is that we want to get our way. It's human instinct. It's who we are. But as long as we think the problem is outside of us, we'll never take care of what's inside of us. Now, you may disagree because maybe you feel like the things you want are things that have to be earned. Things like freedom, respect, trust, and responsibility. And when you don't get the things that you feel like you've earned, it doesn't seem fair. I get it. Totally. Makes sense to me, because I feel those things too. And you're right. But James isn't talking about what's fair and what isn't. He's saying that if you want to get to the root of your frustration and anger, you need to be willing to admit that the problem is in you. The problem is when you don't get what you think you deserve. We've been there, all of us. So what do? Well, we have to change the script. When other people aren't acting like we think they should, or we aren't getting what we want or think we deserve, we have to change what we say. Instead of saying, he's being selfish, she's being annoying, they're being rude. Instead, we say, you know what the problem is? I'm not getting what I want. Now, I mean, it very well could be that they are being rude and they are being mean. But today, we're not going to talk about that. Now, I understand this sounds terrible, but I'm telling you, when you start doing this, relationships change. Your frustration level changes. Your anger changes. Why? Because you're no longer looking to other people as a reason for why you feel the way you feel. As long as you're looking to other people as a reason for feeling the way you do, other people have control of your emotions. On the other hand, when you start admitting that the problem is that you're not getting what you want, you get control back. And isn't that what we all want when it comes to our emotions? We want control. James is making the point that as long as you think the problem is outside of you and that it's somebody else's fault, you will feel like you get a free pass to act however you want. Why is that? Because you can say that you didn't do anything wrong. You can avoid ownership and responsibility. You can look at others and say, they made me do it. They made me act that way. They made me say it. They left me no choice. But James is saying, nope. If you did that thing or said that thing was angry, mean, or hurtful, it was because it was in you to say it or do it. Of course, there are circumstances that would upset you, like when you're treated unfairly by a sibling or a friend or a parent. But imagine if in the middle of feeling your anger and your frustration, you were able to say, part of the problem, not the whole problem, but part of it is that I'm not getting what I want. Just being willing to say that out loud helps take you to keep yourself from being controlled by anger and frustration. Owning what you can own in the problem keeps your anger and frustration from driving you and owning you. And no matter who you are, that's a good thing. Now, based on what we've talked about today, here's my question for you. What's your relationship with anger? Do you control it, or does it control you? If I were to ask your coach, your mom or dad, step-parents, brother or sister, teammates, classmates, friends, what would they say? Because if anger is controlling you in any of those relationships, then it's controlling you too much. And the only way to beat it, according to James, is with humility. And humility says, it's not all my fault, but I'm going to own my part of it. And my part of it has to do with me not getting my way when I want to. So when you feel anger, frustration, or whatever you want to call it rising up, when you're in that disagreement with a parent, step-parent, coach, friend, or sibling, ask yourself, what am I not getting that is causing this anger? Because even if you aren't the whole problem, humility means recognizing that you are part of the problem. And when you learn how to recognize that, the emotion of anger begins to lessen its control over you. The good news is that for those of us who are Christ followers, we follow someone who has led the way in this. Jesus said no to getting his way. In fact, the Apostle Paul wrote about this very thing when he talked about Jesus. In Philippians 2, verses 6 and 7, Paul writes, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. Jesus had every reason, every right to get his own way, but he didn't. He gave up what he wanted so that we could know how valuable we are in God's sight. Paul starts this passage about Jesus and his humility by saying this. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love. And that's the start of Philippians chapter 2 with verses 1 and 2. Did you catch that? He tells us to be like Christ, and then he tells us what Christ is like. Humble when he had every reason not to be. Jesus surrendered his way when he could have easily fought for it. Following the example of Jesus is how we keep anger from controlling us. Think of it this way. And if there's one thing I want you to remember today is this. Because of Jesus, anger doesn't have to be the boss of you. Because of Jesus, anger doesn't have to be the boss of you. I really believe following Jesus will make your life better. I really do. Because when you follow him, he will nudge you away from self-centeredness, arrogance, and pride and move you towards humility and love for others. And as that happens, you will find that anger no longer has the hold on you that it did before. And less powerful anger is a win for everyone. Now, as we wrap up today, I want you to begin imagining what life would look like if anger didn't control you. None of us will get this right completely or all the time. But as you discuss, we'll discuss this Thursday with our small groups. And as you discuss it Thursday with your small groups, process some ways that you can take some steps in the right direction in your personal circumstances. What would it look like for you to choose wisdom and humility over anger? Let's pray. Lord, I know that all of us at times get angry. Heck, as I'm recording this, they are doing some type of construction work, and I'm sure you'll see some cuts, but they're pounding on the windows and the ceiling, and that's frustrating to me, and it can cause me anger, but I know that we need to focus on you, and we need to realize that, part of our anger may come from us and come from our selfish desires, and we pray that we can step away from those selfish desires today, and that we can focus on you and your healing and putting you at the center of our life, not ourselves. And when we do that, we'll see a huge difference in the way that we react to situations. And are there going to be frustrating situations? Of course. But I pray that we can look to you in those situations. We can look to those around us who can help us through that situation. Pray for an awesome week this week, and it's in your son's name we lift this up. Amen. I'm muted. Now I'm not muted. Okay. But yeah, I forgot that I referenced it in my prayer, but yeah, the pounding on the roof, the frustration that caused me, and again, was I just angry because of another reason? Was I angry because I was annoyed that he was doing this and he should know not to do it while I'm recording? I mean, he was just doing his job, right? Like, why am I angry at him when I just be patient? And I did, and so I hope this is something that helped you, and you can look at these passages and just kind of see examples of, oh my gosh, Lorelai is squealing upstairs. But I hope these are passages you can look at and see that anger doesn't have to take control of you. That's all I got for this week. Again, I'll see you next week, assuming baby doesn't come early, but I'll see you all next week. I'll see you on Thursday. Again, I haven't put the link in yet, but I will put the link. Then you can just click on this video. In the description will be the link to get right onto the Zoom call. So for Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So hope you can join us. Hope we'll see you there. Again, it's my last one for a few weeks, so I hope you all can make it. I'd love to see you all before I'm off for a few weeks, but that's all I got. Have a great week. Yeah. I don't really have anything else. It's just a lot of exciting. I will say, as we close out, I got a memory today of us arriving at Hume a year ago, and I definitely missed that. This would have been our Hume weekend, with Memorial. Wow, I said Memorial. That's in May. With Martin Luther King Day on Monday. So I'm really bummed we don't get that, but I know that we'll have some cool stuff that we can do in the future. And yeah, enjoy. I'm guessing you guys have a day off on Monday. I didn't even think about that, but enjoy your day off on Monday. And yeah, we'll see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone.